And when you think of fashion, does the Lower East Side come to mind? Well, it should. Eco-friendly designs from downtown. Coming up.
Fashion Week, it's coming early this year for residents of the Lower East Side. And Noelle Frieson of the Lower East Side Business Improvement District. There she is. She's here right next to me to give us a preview of Fashion Flipside. This is an eco-friendly runway show, and it's hosted by the increasingly popular and increasing in number vintage boutiques in the area. Noelle, what's interesting about this is this has been a whole new fashion scene, and one that stresses maybe not the things we'd see, say, like on the Upper East Side or on Madison Avenue.
No, our boutiques really stress eco-friendliness and fashion and recycling clothes with vintage.
Okay, let's start with our first model, you.
Me. I'm wearing Moo Shoes, and Moo Shoes is an all-vegan shoe store, and everything in there is cruelty-free. So
you can feel good about buying them.
Yes, made of synthetic fibers. These are no vaca, meaning no cow.
No cow. Our first model is going to come out and wear something from Daha Vintage.
Daha Vintage. Now, Daha Vintage is known for its shoe collection. It has a large array of shoes from the 1930s up to the 1990s.
Very cool. Next, we have something from another vintage store, David Owens.
Well, Joey is wearing a Pierre Cardin shirt, and David Owens is known for having a huge array of men's vintage clothing. And they have the largest selection of men's vintage ties from the 1930s.
And you know, we have a special request here to bring back our model from Daha Vintage because we want to see those shoes again. Joey, thank you very much.
Aren't they gorgeous?
They really are, and it's worth a second look there. Then once again, this is Daha Vintage.
Daha Vintage.
Well, thank you so much for coming back. Next, we're going to move on to, this is a store name I love, Harry Mary's.
Harry Mary's. Harry Mary's does vintage and reconstructed vintage. So this is by their designer, Sharon Bright, who took a vintage piece and made it into the boob tube dress.
Okay.
I'm also wearing a plus-size dress by Harry Mary's. This is a 1970s vintage piece. And so it's not just, it's for everyone, for all sizes.
Okay. Why don't you stand up? We want to see the whole dress there, Noelle.
Woo.
There she goes. All right, thank you very much. We have models coming at us from all angles here. Next, this is something from a store named Kaight.
Kaight. Kaight is an eco-friendly boutique. Everything in her boutique is either made of organic cotton or cruelty-free. This is actually an Allison Fox dress made from salvaged materials.
Wow, that's very salvaged materials.
Salvaged materials.
Thank you very much. And next we have Doreen with something from the dressing room.
The dressing room. The dressing room is awesome. They actually multi-use their space. They have a designer co-op, a bar and lounge, and downstairs they have a vintage store where you can actually trade in clothes for drinks.
Wow. That's an interesting trade.
A drink clothing exchange.
And finally, we have Carla, and she's wearing something from Valley.
Valley also is a multi-use space. They have a wonderful boutique that sells vintage clothes as well as new clothes, and they have a full-service salon with waxing, nail services, and skin spa services.
Very interesting. Well, let's have all our models come back now. And you know, as we talked about, this is such an interesting thing. You talked about recyclable clothing. You talk about cruelty-free clothing. And this is really a new fashion style that we're seeing here.
Yes, and it's all going to be at the Fashion Flipside event that we're having tomorrow.
2 o'clock?
2 o'clock on Orchard and Rivington, hosted by the Lower East Side Business Improvement District.
Well, Noel, we want to thank you so much for coming in. We want to thank all our models. Great job, interesting clothes, and interesting stories behind the clothes as well. And we want to remind you, if you'd like to find out more about Fashion Flipside and the show you'll be able to see tomorrow, log on to our website, WNBC.com. Weekend Tiny. There you see the website address right there. Guys, thanks again very much. Noelle, thank you for hosting.
Thank you.
Thank you for modeling as well.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. And Carolyn, over to you.
All right, Michael, thank you. So how do you see